Sasmit Patra.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Chairman, sir. I rise to deliberate on the working of the Ministry of Home Affairs, an institution that sits at the core of India's internal governance and security matrix. It is not incumbent upon us as members of this august House to not merely review, but to reimagine the ministry's role, performance and priorities. I will comprehensively examine three major pillars: the Central Armed Police Forces, the National Investigation Agency, and the disaster management apparatus. Though through this lens, I will highlight not only achievements, but also pressing challenges and lay down a clear, actionable roadmap for reform. But before proceeding, I salute all the security forces for their sacrifices over the years, selfless hard work and commitment to the nation. Any number of parliamentary deliberations cannot compare to the indomitable courage and selfless sacrifices that our security forces and centrally armed police forces are done for the nation. I salute them, sir. At the forefront of India's internal security are the Central Armed Police Forces, the CRPF, BSF, CISF, ITBP, SSB, and Assam Rifles. They form the sinews of our border management, counter-insurgency operations, anti-Naxal campaigns, and disaster response. The CRPF particularly has successfully fought the left-wing extremism, while the BSF and ITBP remain vigilant on our sensitive borders. The brave CAPF's performance have shown success. Left-wing extremism incidents have dropped significantly over the last decade. The BSF has foiled infiltration attempts and seized large quantities of narcotics and arms. The CISF has ensured foolproof protection of our airports, nuclear installations, and metro networks. However, beneath these operational excellence lies a worrying undercurrent for the human and structural backbone supporting these successes. One of the most pressing issues is the acute manpower deficit, particularly at the officer level. Certain CAPFs report shortfall in supervisory roles, which has direct repercussions on leadership, morale, and effectiveness. This shortage is amplified by the outdated practice of relying heavily on deputations from state police and IPS cadres, resulting in leadership discontinuity and lack of force-specific expertise. Over-deployment is another concern for our forces. CRPF battalions, especially in insurgency-hit areas, are being deployed for years without adequate recuperation cycles. Continuous exposure to high-stress conflict zones without rest leaves personnel vulnerable to fatigue. It is imperative that the ministry launches an ambitious and time-bound CAPF modernization and welfare mission 2030. The first and foremost step must be the creation of a dedicated CAPF officer cadre, ending the dependence on deputation and fostering a professional leadership pipeline. Second, rotational deployment policies should be institutionalized, ensuring that no company remains in active conflict zones beyond a reasonable period. Third, there must be an across-the-board welfare overhaul, including priority housing construction, family healthcare packages, CAPF-specific scholarships, and the establishment of mental health counseling units in every battalion. Equally vital is modernization. Despite commendable efforts, the pace of technology induction, be it night vision equipment, counter-IED technology, AI-powered surveillance drones, or terrain-specific weaponry, is needed and in more quantities. I urge the ministry to earmark a fixed percentage of GDP exclusively for CAPF modernization, with yearly targets and audits ensuring implementation. I come to the National Investigation Agency, Honourable Deputy Chairman, sir. It has emerged as India's principal anti-terror and anti-organized crime investigative body. However, the agency's success stories cannot obscure the structural constraints under which it operates. In recent years, The jurisdiction of the NIA has expanded considerably. Amendments have empowered it to probe offences related to human trafficking, cyber terrorism, narcotics, and counterfeit currency. While laudable, this expansion has stretched the NIA's investigative capacity. More than 1,000 cases are under investigation, with the process not being able to expedite despite best efforts of officers due to the need for more manpower and resource requirements. Vacancy in sanctioned posts within the NIA, need for more forensic labs, digital investigation wings, and specialized cybercrime units further affects its efficiency. To address this, the ministry must embark on a two-pronged strategy. Staffing vacancies must be addressed immediately. A special drive should aim to fill all sanctioned posts within the next financial year, while simultaneously creating a lateral entry mechanism to attract cyber and forensic experts. Second, to decongest the headquarters of NIA and enhance efficiency, I propose 5 regional NIA hubs, which can be established across North, South, East, West, and Northeast zones. Each hub must be equipped with state-of-the-art forensic laboratories, cyber intelligence units, digital case management systems, and dedicated liaison cells for state police forces. The establishment of zonal NIA special courts capable of handling sensitive cases with speed should accompany this decentralized structure. Now I come to disaster management apparatus. The ministry's disaster management apparatus via the NDMA and NDRF have demonstrated competency, especially in mobilizing relief operations during cyclones and floods. I come from Odisha. In Odisha, we have the OSDMA, NDRF, we work together, and many such cyclones have been dealt with. However, the broader framework remains heavily skewed towards post-disaster relief rather than pre-disaster preparedness and resilience building. The solution lies in a paradigm shift from reaction to anticipation. I propose the creation of an integrated national resilience grid, digitally connecting the IMD, ISRO, CWC, state disaster authorities, local municipalities, and district administrations. This grid must offer real-time data integration, early warning dissemination, and centralized evacuation and resource coordination. A dedicated disaster mitigation infrastructure fund should be established, channeling investments into flood control systems, earthquake-resistant buildings, and climate-adaptive infrastructure, particularly in high-risk zones. I come to my conclusion. I have 2 minutes and I'll conclude. In conclusion, the Ministry of Home Affairs stands today at a defining crossroad. A custodian not just of law and order, but of the nation's very fabric of unity, resilience, and progress. The centrally armed police forces, the National Investigation Agency, and our disaster management apparatus are pillars upon which the safety, security, and well-being over 1 billion citizens rest. But these pillars, though strong, demand reinforcement through bold reforms, structural modernization, and an unwavering commitment to the welfare of those who serve. This is not merely a question of budgets, policies, or organizational charts. It is a question of envisioning a future where our CAPFs are not overburdened. A future where our premier investigative agencies are not constrained by shortage of hands or tools, but empowered by autonomy, technology, and talent. A future where disaster management is not a race against time after calamity strikes, but a seamless anticipatory grid that saves lives and livelihoods before the storm hits. The sacrifices of our security personnel, the dedication of our investigative officers, and the resilience of our disaster response teams demands nothing short of transformative vision. I therefore urge the Honourable Home Minister and this House, I'll take 30 seconds and I'm done. I urge the Honourable Home Minister and this House to seize this moment to invest, to reform, to reimagine, to build a Ministry of Home Affairs that is just not an administrative edifice, but the bedrock of a safe, secure, resilient, and compassionate India. For the security of the Republic is not an end in itself. It is the foundation upon which justice, development and dignity for every citizen must flourish. I thank you, sir. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Dr. Sasmit Patra. Shri A.D. Singh ji.